What's up, guys? It is the Bad Wolf. Hopefully, that should be reading the correct way now. If not, let me know. And thank you to the viewer out there who caught that and they were like, hey, sign's backwards. Of course, for me, you know what, whatever. It's good now. All right, guys. Welcome to the Bad Wolf Unincorporated. Well, probably won't be an hour, but hour. And as always, guys, join me on my other YouTube channel, Bad Wolf Unrestricted. Guess what? Now we've got a Facebook group and another Facebook group, or really a page. Both of them are called The Bad Wolf Unincorporated, The Bad Wolf Unrestricted. Because make sure you don't get taken by anybody else trying to use my name or making a mock site because they do that all the time now. So those are my real ones. Join me on both of those. Join me on my YouTube. Join me on all the social medias you like. It is what it is. Let's get into it. So, as always, thank you to all the people who send in donations. Though that has been very, very slow lately. And I get that. It's just the time, everyone's busy, and well, money is kind of hard to come by these days, you know what I mean? So I do sincerely appreciate anybody who has the auto billing on for the Wolf Pack. If you've joined that, thank you for supporting with the $1.99, two, three, five, up to $24.99. Whatever you guys can do, thank you in advance. Thank you. But that doesn't mean that the people who, hit the thumbs up, the likes and subscribes, that you guys are any less. I appreciate you guys as well. And if you want to support, now if you join on YouTube, that you get the videos behind the scenes, the VIP stuff. If you're just like, hey, I just want to be able to send a couple of dollars here and there, go to either blacksite32.com, okay, and hit the donation page. Or simple, PayPal me at jamesclovett@yahoo.com. You can set up your own monthly $1.99, $20.99, $100.99, $99, whatever it is. You guys get the point. Anyway, before we get going, make sure, because we've noticed two things lately. About 3,000 subscribers have been removed from my website. It wasn't me, and I know it wasn't you guys because I didn't get any notifications they were gone, but they're gone. So make sure you guys have joined the newsletter. You don't have to buy anything, just join the newsletter. I only send out about 4 or 5 a year, so don't freak out if you don't get them all the time. I try not to bother you guys. That's what you want, right? Also, www.jamesclovett.com, jamesclovett.com has all of the video seminars. We may do in the end of August another Zoom conference. Let me know in the comments if you guys want to see that happen. I'm on the fence with that. I think that's it. Let's get into the video. I hope that everybody out there is blessed and positive and healthy. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. And I don't know where you guys are at right now, but it is hot outside. So make sure you guys are getting your electrolytes, your water, um, and take care of yourselves as you need, you and your pets. All right, without further ado, let's get into the video. As soon as my screen pops up. Okay. Now this video will probably be titled 49 USC 13501 or 49 USC 13506. And I'll explain why. Well, show the screen, man. We can't see. All right. Boom. Boom. All right. There we go. So this is about code 49 USC 13501 through 506 and 7, 8, and 9, and right to travel. Okay. So let's start off. Now, if you guys don't know, don't let the states or anybody else fool you. That goes for you as well, police officers. The states are not completely sovereign. They are not. The federal government is the sovereign power. The states do have a lot of sovereignty, but they're not 100% sovereign. They cannot just do anything they want, especially deny you of your rights and freedoms and liberty. As a national, 8 USC 1503. Look it up. However, we now know per 8 USC 1401, we have nationality and citizenship at birth. We get two things, but Wolf, aren't those the same things? In other countries, yes. In the United States of America, no. How do we know that? 8 FAM 301.1 1, letter B. Nationality and citizenship are two separate things. Thank you to the Department of State for watching my videos and catching that mistake that somebody made that I corrected. That you guys then said, let's talk to the legal department. And the legal department was like, yes, he's absolutely right. And Cornell Law, thank you guys for doing the same things. Let's get into it. I guess that just kind of shows you guys my, well, you guys know, but letting them know my intelligence level. But hell, they already know my intelligence level because that's why they watch this. That's why they watch me. All right. Underneath this code, it says the secretary and the board have jurisdiction as specified in this part over transportation by motor carrier. So what they're saying is the government's saying we do have authority over transportation. Transportation is a word that means commerce. This is public. They administer control over public transportation, the action thereof, the moving through a port and that action. This is considered commercial. Motor carrier, just like motor vehicles, also commercial, but they don't have exclusive control over everything. So let's see the secretary. What secretary here? Secretary of Transportation. Okay. Board. Who's the board? Transportation Board. Okay. Let's see what transportation means. Transportation, the term includes a motor vehicle. Motor vehicle is commercial. The connotation with this word is commercial use on the public side. Vessel or vessel. Container, L is God. Container of God. Okay. Warehouse. Now, most of these things are all maritime or water related. Motor vehicle usually was supposed to really mean a boat, but it can be applied to a land-based vehicle. Only supposed to be within, I think, 10 miles of a waterway or 5 miles of a waterway, but they've expanded it. They've usurped their jurisdiction, technically. Vessel, usually that means a ship. Warehouse, warehouse close to the water. Wharf, water based. Pier, water based. Dock, water based. Yard, usually that's a land measurement. Some of these things are edge of the land to the water, like a bank jurisdiction. Okay, but let's keep going. I won't go through all of it like that. It says any kind of equipment related to the movement of passengers or property. Well, passengers is commercial, but it says also property because your body could be considered a vessel. And if you register your body to them, like for school or for a birth certificate, then you can be considered property. Your vessel is their property. You're giving them some jurisdiction over it. B, services. Well, services is generally, unless otherwise specified, considered to be on the public side. Serving your vices. What do you need? Your vice. What gets you randy, baby? I'm here to serve your vices. What do you need? Related to that movement. So they control the movement commercially on the public side for your vices. They're trying to serve you something, including arranging for receipt, that's commercial, delivery, that's commercial, elevation, transport, transfer in transit, that's definitely commercial, refrigeration, that's not normal, so that's commercial, icing, ventilation, storage, handling, packaging, unpackaging. But here's the main part: interchange of passengers and property. This is commercial. Transportation means commercial use, not exclusively. It can mean public use on the private use on the public side versus what we do, which is private use on the private side. Okay. And then it talks about where do they have this jurisdiction? Well, between a place and a state and another place and another state. So they have some jurisdiction here. But let's go on. Here they talk about the exemption of transportation between Alaska and other states. Oh, look, water carrier subject to jurisdiction. Freight forwarder, all water-based because they operate in maritime jurisdiction. They do not have control over the Constitution. If they had control over the Constitution, I mean, you guys do know we are the Constitution. It's a living document. We can upgrade it, change it, add to it as we see fit, but we have to come together because they don't have jurisdiction over anything in the private law, the Constitution, and our private rights secured by the Constitution, Declaration of Independence, and the Bill of Rights. They created their own jurisdiction on water. This is then maritime jurisdiction. So now when they write these codes are commercial and water based primarily with a little bit of land if doing commercial and subject to their jurisdiction. This does not mean the private right to travel national unless you have a driver's license and a license plate registered to them, then they have it. Otherwise, they don't. See, what you guys don't understand is, and you know what? I'll wait to the end of the video because I want to talk about it then. I'll save it. So, but the government is saying if we have some jurisdiction over some land stuff and all the water stuff within our jurisdictional reach out to international waters and within so many miles of a waterway. And it's supposed to be a navigable waterway, not just a waterway, but that's what they've done. They've usurped the Constitution, created their own jurisdiction, and then said, well, anywhere water flows unnaturally through pipes or that can be traveled on within the United States of America's physical jurisdiction, we're claiming not the land, but anybody subject or registered to our jurisdiction within those physical geographical areas. But there's two United States. There's this one we're talking about now, which is the U.S. corporation. And then there's the United States of America, which is the organic, the de jure, the physical, tangible land. They are just taking care of the land for us. That one has the American flag with no fringes, no gold tassels, per Title IV. What they are the gold fringe flag based out of the United States Corporation out of the District of Columbia with the gold fringes and the gold tassels. There's two different jurisdictions going on. They overlap each other. But Let's see here. It says neither the secretary nor the board. So now they're saying they don't have full jurisdiction over everything because the states, though they are not sovereign, are primarily sovereign. They're somewhat private, but they call themselves the public. So the government is saying, look, we don't have jurisdiction to anybody registered to the states who are doing private things underneath the state's jurisdiction, like a sub franchise, which is where your driver's license comes from. So it says neither the secretary nor the board has jurisdiction under this subchapter over transportation, except transportation of household goods. Oh, comma, by a motor carrier, okay, operating solely within the state of Hawaii. The state of Hawaii may regulate transportation, but notice how it says state of Hawaii, not Hawaii state or Hawaii Republic or just Hawaii, because the state means a thing of. Okay, this is a term of art here. The state of Hawaii is not the same thing as Hawaii the Republic or the Republic of Hawaii. Or the geographical Hawaii. This is an entity. And it says that entity may regulate transportation exempt from jurisdiction under this section, and to the extent provided by a motor carrier. Motor carrier. Bum, bum, bum. The term motor carrier means a person, which may or may not mean living, or it may be an entity, but providing motor vehicle transportation. We know transportation is commercial. We know motor vehicle is commercial. For what? What? You see this? Gotcha. So we now know that a motor carrier means the same thing as a motor vehicle, and transportation are for what? Compensation. If you're being paid to transport, that is public side and commercial. They regulate it. I do not have a motor vehicle. I am not a motor carrier. I'm not transporting for compensation. I'm not using the roads for compensation. Hell, even the police officers are using their vehicle to make money on the roads. That is regulated. They want their people to go out and see if you're breaking any infractions. An infraction is what they call those tickets. Why? Because an infraction means that you're in something and it's a fraction of something. So, what are you in and what is it a fraction of? You are in their jurisdiction, not the physical area, but the paper jurisdiction that they govern anybody on paper in their jurisdiction. And a fraction of what? A fraction of an actual crime or of the real law, positive law. Do you understand what I said there? You are in their physical shared area. So public and private things can be shared in this area called Hawaii. But in Hawaii, there's two different powers there, the state of Hawaii, and then there's Hawaii Republic, Hawaii state, the organic, the Hawaiians. Two things going on there, but the Hawaiians don't really do anything other than live. They don't have a formal government per se. But the formal official one, some people came along and said, we want to create not Hawaii because it's already there, but a state of it, something less than the original. It's a business. The state of Hawaii is a business. So there's two separate things. And if you register your stuff, guess what? If you register your stuff was already in Hawaii, but you took it from the private of Hawaii, the Republic, and you registered it or registered it to the for-profit entity in the same area that's a business that shares the same geographical area of jurisdiction. And when you do that, you're now a member of theirs for a police officer to regulate the transportation thereof. That's how this works. So the government has jurisdiction over the states, but not every single type of transaction. They let the states do that, the state ofs, because the state ofs are registering and regulating transportation. So what this also means is that if you're a private traveler doing right to travel, it means if you're not doing transportation, passenger, commercial, using the roads for compensation, you are exempt and you are private. However, the moment you speed, the moment you do something crazy, the moment you're driving drunk or doing whatever else, any member, sub member of the state of Hawaii, which is the law enforcement, sheriff, police, etc., they may regulate you. You are endangering public safety and endangering those who are regulated doing transportation in their jurisdiction. They can switch gears. If not, by law, they are not to pull over you because you have a private plate. You are their boss when you are operating privately. But you waive that right. You waive your right to privacy and to be bothered when you register your vehicle and you get a driver's license and their plate. That's how it works. Now, understand, most cops, no offense, don't know any of this shit because they're not taught it. Their legal department knows this stuff. Otherwise, they would have already knocked on my door and been like, "Oh, you're giving away misinformation." Or what they like to say is, "You're misapplying the law." No, we're not. Your law, in respect, is for property being transported by a person engaged in business. The government is telling you right here, if you are not property and you are not transporting and you're not a legal person and you're not engaged, so when people get engaged, guess what? That's commercial. And you're in a business and you're in what? In engaged in what? In a business. Your all caps name is transporting. That's how they look at it. See what the definition of for a person here is. Person, term person, in addition to the meaning under section 1 of Title 1, includes a trustee. Why would they start off with this? Because they believe you are a trustee over your estate. How do we know that? Check it out. Receiver. This is also for business. Are you receiving it? Are you an assignee? Or are you a personal representative of a person? Guess what? A personal representative of a person. A personal, a persona represented, living people are in the present. Are you a persona representing, regifting, representing, removing from the present and you're representing it? So essentially dead of a person. They're telling you it right here. Engaged in business or other than transportation. Now, the video I came across had, I don't know if it was David Straight or one of these other guys, but he was quoting 49 USC subsection 13506, miscellaneous motor carrier transportation exemptions. Now, what does this actually mean? Huh? Anybody? Anybody? Nope, nothing? Okay, I'll tell you. So they're saying that there are motor carriers who are doing transportation that are exempt. Yeah, that was it. Pretty simple. But understand this, they're saying that neither the secretary nor the board have jurisdiction over a motor vehicle. Also, we're so though a motor vehicle is still doing something commercial, so there's still we know that. But what types? Transporting of school children and teachers to and from school. Why? Because the states have claimed this. The government doesn't have schools and deal with children. What else? Motor vehicle providing taxi care, taxi cab services. I'm surprised this hasn't been updated to say like Uber or something like that, but we'll see. A motor or Uber services. A motor carrier owned or operated by or for a hotel. Why? Because the states have people come to them and register their vehicle. Could a hotel do this privately? Well, the state would say, well, you're transporting people that you don't know. So that's commercial. And we regulate those public types of things. So hotels and whatever else get a license. Some hotels actually have a driver's license for themselves. They own fleets of cars. Could there be a way around this? Yes, there actually is. If you know it, you know it. If not, if you own a hotel, you better talk to me because I got to charge you for that information. I ain't giving away everything for free. So let's see what else we have here. What is a motor vehicle? Okay, vehicle, machine, tractor, trailer, semi-trailer, propelled, drawn, mechanical power used on the highways in transportation. So all of that sounds like a normal car until you get here. Used on a highway in transportation. Transportation is commercial. Street rail service, commercial. Local passenger transportation, commercial. Over the head wire, electric power operated trolley, commercial. Rail systems, commercial. Locomotives, commercial. And a vehicle here, though it's saying just vehicle, can be a motor vehicle because this can be considered private. So, like, uh, let's say you get your driver's license and your cop calls it a motor vehicle, right? Well, if you're not using it for commercial needs, but it's still registered and you're using it for private stuff, then it's just a vehicle. But it can also be called or considered a motor vehicle. Transportation, once again, interchange of passengers and property. That's a commercial transaction. How do we know that? Because it doesn't say that it covers private. If it's posted in the public, if it's posted in the public, it's for public administration, not private. They do not and cannot regulate true private op, business matters. They cannot. They can only regulate what is theirs. And what is theirs? That which is regulated to them, that which is registered to them. Look, cooked or uncooked fish, bread, frozen commodities, frozen vegetables, cocoa beans. This all this kind of stuff is agricultural. It's business enterprise engaged in a sale. Motor vehicles used only in distribution of newspapers. This is commercial. When you're dealing with products to people or picking up people for profit on the streets, it's commercial. They administer that. They administrate that. So they share a jurisdiction. The government controls the states or they have their thumb on the states, they have their hand on their leash, but the states can do their own business. But if they fuck up, the government can come in and slap that ass. That ass, though. Otherwise, they're allowed to do their own business. They identify their stuff by calling it motor vehicles, US citizens. But at the end of the day, the government can say, well, yeah, you're not doing this right with your what you're doing over there with the motor vehicle and with the US citizens, but they usually don't unless it's brought to them. Now, and the guy in the video, he was trying to say that these right here, 49 USC code subsection 13506 A 1, 2, and 3, prove that you have the right to travel. It does not. We do have a right to travel, but I'll explain that in like 3 minutes. What this is stating is that the government doesn't have jurisdiction over certain types of specific motor vehicle operations. That's what this is saying. I cannot back people who are giving out false or wrong information or interpretations. This can't even be construed that way. Now, maybe they changed the code since, way back in the day when he first came across it, but it doesn't say anything about that. But I'll explain why. A motor carrier of property providing transportation exempt from jurisdiction on this paragraph may transport property under such paragraph in the same vehicle at the same time as the property in which the carrier is authorized to transport under a registration issued from subsection 13902A. Such transportation shall not affect the unregulated status of such exempt property or regulated status of property which a carrier. So they're telling you that there are some things that are unregulated. Okay. And where some of these yo-yos out here want to say, oh, that's right to travel is not a law. You're right. It's not a law. It's an unenumerated right. Unenumerated means non-numbered, unregulated status of transportation. So there are some things that are unregulated or foreign registered or non-resident registration that they don't have control over, which is exempt. Okay. Awesome. Now let's finish it up. So here's the thing. Back in the day when vehicles were first created, there were no licenses. The state didn't own them. There was nothing. You made a vehicle, whatever you want, whatever you had, a horse or whatever else. You didn't need a license. You didn't need a driver. You didn't need a license plate. You didn't need any of that. So what happened? We had our rights and freedoms all right there. But then people doing business were causing such a ruckus that the government was like, yeah, we should probably do something about that. But then the state said, hold up, that's in our area. We should regulate that and make the money. I mean, do it safely. So the government said, okay, you're right. Things that belong to the government, the federal system, etc., we will regulate, which is why there's no such thing as a federal driver's license. There's not. They're like, look, if you're operating underneath our jurisdiction, which is foreign in relation to the states and to the private, we aren't going to create a license. But they do tell people, even their own federal agents, that, yeah, you should get a driver's license from the state. Why? You don't need one. Well, if you want to do commercial things, so the government doesn't provide a license for those commercial things, but the states do. Now, I haven't sat down and researched it, but I'm pretty sure the states have some kind of kickback system to the government. Could be wrong. I don't think so. Pretty sure I know so. So what happened? So these businesses then started saying, well, we don't want to be regulated. And the government was like, or the states said, well, the government said they regulate some stuff. And we're going to say, because you're doing it in our area, you're not doing federal stuff, are you? No, no, just local business. Nice. Excellent. Oh, then you have to be licensed and you have to pay that every month or year, 2 years, whatever, blah, 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 up to their standards, their regulation. So the states drafted their thing, passed their own laws for their own people, which they call 14th Amendment U.S. citizens and the public, registered businesses and persons and entities. So you waive your right to be private when you register something. Do you have to register your stuff? No, there's no law that says you have to register nearly anything unless you get it from them, like a firearm, because they built it. It's a benefit and a privilege, so you have to register it. Are there ways around that? Yeah, there might be. Do we have any education or informational purpose on that? Yeah, you might want to, for informational purposes, check out jamesclovett.com and watch some of the videos there. Just saying, if you're interested in such stuff. If not, that's all. So if you do a federal matter with your vehicle, you work for the FBI or whatever else, their vehicles have their plates on them. They don't even have to have any. That's why also your postal trucks don't have licenses, or they don't have to have, the drivers don't have to have driver's license, but they say you should. They kind of recommend you get one because it's probably the whole kickback thing. But look at your postal truck. You know, license on there, or it's got a general one because they're only paying attention. They get away with all of this stuff, and some people want to say they're infringing on your rights. A little bit, but really, what they're doing, it's for their people. Are you either you are their people, or you're an individual living being, your own natural person, which is a national, or you're a 14th Amendment U.S. citizen. So not only does the 14th Amendment U.S. citizen fall as property of the government or a federal citizen, but the states jump in on that too, and they're like, "Well, if you're a citizen, that's why it's almost always the first option on any paperwork you pick, because they want you to admit you're a citizen, a U.S. citizen. You think it just means, oh, I'm an American. Do you see the fucking word America next to it? United States of America citizen? No, because that's a national. The U.S. citizens in the American family is not the same thing as a national, but you have both. The U.S. citizen is really regarded as a non-living entity, the straw man, the legal person, the nom de gore, public transmitting utility. However, it can mean a living person, such as people born in the District of Columbia primarily. But if you believe that you are that, then by joinder, you are in fact then a living 14th Amendment U.S. citizen. And that's a business of the United States, which the states can get in on because they're a member. So they're like, well, then if you're one of those 14th Amendment, then you're a member. You can be a member of ours, but we need you to prove residency. Show us something with the all caps name on it. Swear that you're a U.S. citizen. Check off that you're a U.S. citizen on this box. Bring us mail with your all caps name. Show us a zip code. Gotcha, bitch. Because that's how it works. That's the membership. That's what you have to do to pledge as a member of theirs to get the benefit and the privilege and the license to be able to drive, which the word drive is commercial. It's the operation of making money on the roads, transporting passengers or property, persons, for hire. That's what drive means. Black's Law Dictionary that they use in court for legal and commercial things. So you waive all of that private stuff when you register, or if you do an action or an event or an operation, which is commercial, that is public in nature. If you're doing it privately, say you're a farmer and you're selling apples or trading apples to your friends and family, okay, that's fine. But when you put a sign up on the roads, they can then construe that what you're doing business, a trader business, which is taxable in our jurisdiction. So you owe us and the government money because you don't know these people. So that's a public thing. Is there a way around that? Yeah. But the average person, they don't know that. So guess what? You, the farmer, and whoever else get regulated. Some farmers have come to me and asked me questions on, I guess there's a whole thing out there about what is it, whole milk or unpasteurized milk and getting busted. It's because you're doing commercial operations as a member of theirs, and they don't like whole milk because it's or what unpasteurized milk because it's not safe. It'll hurt the average person, the bacteria in there, and the other things. And they are right. Our stomachs are really not used to that, but you can get used to it, but it takes time. Just like some guys out there, was it not Naked and Afraid, but them too, uh the wilderness one, whatever it was. One of the guys, I think his name was Cody, and he could drink water right out of regular rivers and shit. I wouldn't do that at all. My stomach, I will be peeing out my mouth, nose, eyes, and butthole. But he got used to it. So the problem is that because you guys are doing commercial activities, they can regulate that. You would probably need to speak to somebody like me for educational purposes, and then I may be able to instruct you on how to do things, some things privately. Till then, if you're commingling stuff, they have the right to regulate it because you're selling your milk to the public. You don't want them in your business, then you need to know how to move privately. I mean, hell, technically the government's private. The states are technically private. So you need to create your own private bubble too. But you have to do it correctly or they'll shut your shit down. And as well they should because you're well registered to them. It's pretty simple. It's cut and dry. Either you're their property or you're not. Just saying. I'll talk to you guys later.